My name is Alan. I'm a ranger for a patch of forest out in the middle of nowhere. My job is simple. Don't let anything escape. They call it the Ring Forest, and for good reason. It's a perfect circle. Not huge, maybe half a mile across. A 6-foot wide ring of rocks separates it from the surrounding wilderness of moss, ferns, cliffs, and weeds. Inside the ring, the trees and plants are dense and twisted into strange shapes. It started raining tonight. I'm sitting in my cabin, a hot cup of tea in my hands, listening to the drops ping against the roof. Water leaking through a gap, dripping into a bucket I've set out. A rifle rests heavy on my lap. From the cabin, I have a clear view of the center of the ring. There, in a clearing, sits a gaping hole, deep and dark as a cave, leading down to God knows where. I tried going down once, but the deeper I got, the worse my headache became until I had to turn back. I don't make pointless attempts like that anymore. Tonight, I've got some company. My colleague takes a sip from his mug. He sighs, a comfortable smile on his face. So good. Nothing like a hot cup of tea on a cold night. Yep, I say, scratching my chin. What do you think will come up tonight? He asks. Who knows? Hopefully nothing. It's been a while since the last one, he muses. We're about due for a guest. You're not wrong, I sigh. We call the things that come out of the hole guests. A little gallows humor. The name comes from the inhuman loneliness of this place. I've been here for 3 months. I got another 3 to go. Of course, tonight I have Robbie with me. It's nice to have someone to talk to pass the time. I miss him. The rain splashes through the leaves and onto the bushes. I take one last sip, set my mug down on the small wooden table with a thud, and get to my feet. All right, let us go take a closer look. He grumbles, glancing out the door. Out in the rain? Ugh, you got a better idea? He sighs. Fine. Are we splitting up or sticking together? That wasn't even a question. We stick together, I say, clapping him on the shoulder and motioning him out. You know how lonely I get. He laughs. Fair enough, man. Then he grabs his rifle and steps out the door. I grab mine and follow. Rain splatters my hat and shoulders as we push through the undergrowth, inching closer to the hole. The weather is the reason for this patrol. Unfortunately, the rain kills visibility. On a clear day, I might just stay inside and wait for an alarm to trip, but the sensors don't work well in the rain. The leaves of plants brush against my camo-clad legs as we reach the clearing and take up a position by the best vantage tree. Robbie seemed a little out of it. Hey, I shout over the rain. He looks at me. Focus up. You'll be spotted there. Back up a bit. He just chuckles and rubs his head. You're right. We settle in to wait and watch. Puddles are forming around the hole up ahead. The stones right next to it, I've never seen anything like them in this forest. Maybe someone brought them here a long time ago. 20 minutes pass. The hole stays quiet. Robbie and I make small talk. I just think you'd be happier if you quit this line of work, Robbie says to me. All this isolation, it's not healthy. How much longer you got? 3 months, I answer. So, 6 months total. Half a year in a place like this. Robbie shakes his head. You need to be around people. We're social creatures. Maybe, I say, brushing him off. Robbie opens his mouth to say more, but I cut him off with a quick gesture. I point to the hole. We both crouch down and watch as a dark shape squirms out from the depths. The thing is brown and armored, covered in slime, and makes a sickening, clicking noise. Its 2 eyes dart around on twitching stalks, and rows of sharp legs scrape against the rocks before sinking into the wet grass and mud. A wave of nausea washes over me, but I fight it down. These are the easy ones. I raise my rifle. Robbie does the same. The damn thing is instantly riddled with holes. It lets out a furious shriek as its carapace and flesh splatter into the bushes. I stifle a gag. So gross. Robbie mutters. Where the hell do these things even come from? I don't bother answering him. We've asked each other that question a million times over the years. I have my theories. From the hole, stepping out from behind the corpse of the centipede thing, comes a deer. It lifts its head and sniffs the air. I raise my rifle. The deer bolts. It bounds into the undergrowth, racing away. Shit, I yell, my eyes darting from the deer to my partner. I shout to Robbie, keep an eye on that damn hole. I'll be right back. Another threat could emerge from the hole at any second, but that deer is the priority. I tear through the woods after it, raising my rifle. A branch explodes off a tree trunk. The deer is still moving fast. They're not usually this quick. I stumble after it, leaping over plants and bushes. The deer swerves, trying to change direction. I use the opportunity to shoulder my rifle and fire again from a better angle. This time I hit my mark. Black fluid erupts from the deer's body. It collapses, rustling against the plants on the ground. A choked, undeer-like sound gurgles from its throat. I wipe the sweat and rain from my brow and immediately turn and run back, chest heaving, gasping for air as I reach the clearing. I approach from the other side of the hole and raise a hand to signal Robbie, but just as I suspected, his attention isn't where it should be. He's staring into the woods, slowly getting to his feet. "Robbie," I yell. He whips around. "We watching the hole?" Robbie says nothing. A movement at the edge of the clearing catches our attention. A man with a backpack, waterproof pants, and an anxious expression steps out from between the trees, clutching a crumpled map. Hello," he says, looking back and forth between me and Robbie. I immediately raise my rifle. So does Robbie. I start to circle the edge of the clearing toward my partner, my gun trained on the stranger the whole time. "Whoa, hey," the man yelps, throwing his hands up. "You're rangers, right? I'm not a poacher or anything." He forces an awkward smile. "I'm just lost. Seriously, trust me, I'm really, really lost." "Where are you from?" I ask him. "WH what?" He adjusts his glasses. "Do I not sound like a local?" he asks, making a bad joke, followed by another unnatural laugh. "Tell me where you're from right now, or I'll blow your head off," I say flatly, moving to stand beside Robbie. "Be clear. I'm from Obdebrand," the man mumbles. "What?" I snap my rifle up. I said be clear. Obdebrand," he answers, his voice rising, terror playing on his face. "Never heard of it," I tell him. "What country is it in?" I don't. "What damn country?" "This country, of course." "Please, this isn't funny. Just let me go, okay? I'll find my own way out. Please." Robbie and I exchange a look. "Just name any country, traveler. That's all I want to know." The rain pours down from the trees. The man stands there, shivering. He hesitates, stammers, and finally opens his mouth, but only gibberish comes out. I take quick aim and pull the trigger. A hole appears in the center of the man's forehead. Black liquid sprays from its face as it drops like a sack of bricks. The skin on its chest twitches and folds, and a massive, insect-like leg bursts out from its ribcage. I spit on the ground. "Jesus Christ." Robbie mutters. I consider chewing him out for dereliction of duty, for letting that thing slip past, but there's really no point. So I say nothing. The body twitches in the rain. "Obdebrand," Robbie repeats. "You think it's a real place? Or did it just make it up? A random collection of sounds?" "Who knows, man?" I shrug. "Your guess is as good as mine." Robbie doesn't say anything else. We sit side by side, watching the hole for another 30 minutes. We don't talk much this time, but it's comforting to have him here. The rain drizzles on. "I gotta take a leak," Robbie says, breaking the silence as he gets up. "All right, don't go far. Just do it over there." "Huh, I need you on alert, man. Just piss right there." Robbie gives me a hesitant look, then shakes his head in resignation. "All right, dude. I'll try not to turn too fast. Don't want to knock you out with this thing." He starts pissing against a tree. I let out a laugh, but it dies in my throat as a horde of gray, hazy figures begins to crawl out of the hole. "Showtime, Robbie," I yell. "Quick, stay sharp." The hazy creatures rapidly shift their forms in the rain. They all turn into me, but instead of running for the exit, they all run toward me. "Damn it. Soldier," one of the copies shouts, grabbing me by the shoulders. "Thank God. You're alive. Okay, come with us now. There's still time to get you to safety." I shove him off and raise my rifle. My clone stares down the barrel, then back at me, and finally curses, throwing his hands up. Again, Jesus, why is he always like this? He turns to another clone and shoves him in the chest. Why won't he come back? What are we doing wrong? I wasn't about to play along with this charade. I take aim and shoot, putting a hole in the first one's neck. At first, the blood that flows is an unsettling red, but quickly turns black as he gasps and collapses. My other copies all scramble back. 5 of them left. "Robbie," One of them gestures to my partner. Tell him to come back. We can't keep doing this. Robbie mutters something. Then I fire. The copy's head explodes. He falls backward. Two of the copies make a panicked dash for the hole, which I find amusing, but not amusing enough to let them go. They fall one after another. Bang, bang. Now only two are left. They look at each other, and the one closest to me holds out a hand. Listen, he says carefully as I reload. I know this seems crazy and scary. He's right. As much as I try not to show it, I'm scared shitless. These things are really getting creative. But you have to trust us. Just hear us out, please. Do you have any idea how long you've been gone? The other copy yells in frustration. He's not going to listen. Just like last time. The one closer to me looks me right in the eye. I don't care what anyone says, he tells me. I would never leave you behind. I made a promise, and I'm going to keep. I blow the imposter to kingdom come. His panicked partner slips on the wet grass as he tries to run, and I gun him down. His lifeless body thuds to the ground, parts of his skin twitching unnervingly, as if something is trying to push its way out from inside. I put a few more rounds into him just to be safe. Robbie looks at me, studying my expression. You okay, man? He asks after a moment. Yeah, I lie. Never better. I stare at my clone's face. My corpse's face, I guess. I try not to think about it and glance over at Robbie. Maybe I've let this charade go on for too long. Robbie's gaze goes past me. He's staring at the hole, his face pale. I turn to see what he's looking at. Three figures are climbing out. One of them is waving a white flag. Wait, one of them shouts over the rain. I squint, trying to get a better look. Don't shoot. It's me again. Another clone. But this one's at least 20 years older. With him is a copy of Robbie, about the same age. A woman in her 30s is with them, her hands raised nervously. It's my daughter, or a cheap, aged-up imitation, just like the others. My face hardens. What the hell do you want? Listen to me, you idiot, the older me shouts back. This is the real me. The real you. This is the real Robbie. He puts one hand on his Robbie's shoulder and the other around my daughter. Her eyes are wide. He looks so young, she says. She calls out to me from across the clearing. Dad, it's me. Remember our trip to the beach? For my 10th birthday, you took me to the ocean. We saw dolphins. She reaches for her neck and holds up a necklace with a small, smooth, shiny stone on it. You let me keep this pebble, and we made it into a necklace. Things are about to change, my copy says, taking a few steps forward. There are things happening that are beyond your comprehension. This hole is just the surface. It's a conduit, as I'm sure you've realized. A passage between worlds. Sometimes it crosses dimensions, but the path is long, it eventually loops back on itself. He puts a hand on his chest. I'm rambling. I know this must be a lot to take in, but we're from the same loop, the same path, over and over. I take a deep breath. I look into the madman's eyes. I smell the rain-washed pines and the rifle smoke lingering in the air. I take aim. I fire. My so-called future self falls to the ground. My daughter screams, and the older Robbie drops to his knees beside the body. No, no, he cries as I turn my gun on him. The copy of my daughter is the hardest one. She just stands there trembling, staring at me defiantly. Everything is dead silent. She's making a bet, betting that I won't have the heart to shoot. It didn't have to be this way, she says, her voice trembling. I stay silent for a few seconds, then I make my decision. Bang! She falls. Another leaking corpse. Robbie stares at the carnage. The leaves rustle in the rain. The crack of the rifle shot still rings in our ears. He looks at me. How could you? He whispers. How the fuck could you do that? I run a sleeve across my eyes. Don't let anything leave, I tell him. The rule is there for a reason. You make it look so easy. He murmurs, his tone laced with disgust. You think so? I ask, turning to face him, my jaw tight as rain drips from my chin. Tell me I'm wrong, Robbie. Tell me, should I let these things and their mutations out into the world? Where do they even come from? If the place they're from is so great, why are they leaving? And if they're being driven out by something even worse, then that's all the more reason to shoot. I don't know which of those possibilities is worse, so I can't risk letting a single one through. What if they have something important to tell us? He asks me. Important? Bullshit. It's all just a trick. The moment you let your guard down, you're done for. And speaking of which, I raise my rifle and aim it at his head. Robbie takes 2 steps back. Wait a minute. He laughs nervously, then stops when he realizes I'm not kidding. You're insane, he says plainly. You've completely lost it. It's me. I'm Robbie. If the things coming out of the ground are so friendly, why do they all lie, Robbie? I ask. Why do they lie? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, my friend. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. I tilt my gun. I enjoyed our time together tonight, I really did. I'll admit, you're a good imitation. But you missed one key detail. You always miss something. Robbie's dead. He died 2 years ago. Died protecting this place. Protecting people from the monsters that come out of that hole. So, now it's my turn to say goodbye to you. The color drains from Robbie's face. Please, he starts to say, but I put a bullet through his forehead with a bang. He crumples to the ground. Just like the others, a horrific black liquid spills out onto the grass. Several huge, half-formed insect legs burst from his shoulders and neck, twitching in the rain. I look up at the sky and take a deep breath. Tonight, when Robbie first showed up in the woods, I was too surprised to react. That could have been a fatal mistake, but for some reason, the copy didn't shoot me. He could have killed me right then and there if he'd wanted to. He didn't. So after that, I just played along. Watched his every move. Like I said, it gets lonely out here, and I really miss having Robbie around. The rain slows to a drizzle. I watch the hole gurgle and spit out black sludge. Then I head back to my cabin, sigh, and sink into my chair. Water drips from the roof into the bucket beside me. By sunrise, the bodies will be gone, dissolved. No more guests tonight. The black sludge means the hole needs time to recharge. I pick up my mug and take a slow sip of cold, bitter tea. 3 months down. 3 to go.